Guys, welcome to the show. We have Donald Moser, Mr. Donnie Moser in the house today.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Absolutely. Round two.
Yeah,
Round two. It's been how long for us?
I think a couple years, maybe a little over.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, guys, Donnie is president of sales at Aptive. We worked together back in 2017 when I was there. And Donnie's accomplished a lot in his life. So they have 2,500 reps at Aptive. They did 190 mil this last year.
2024, 190. Yeah,
On pace to do 250 mil this year.
that's right.
2,500 reps going out. It's incredible. And you guys run the full service. You're not just a marketing company. You do everything in house, which is different.
Yeah.
So, you guys are absolutely crushing it, man. And here's the other thing with Donnie, guys. This is his superpower is not just leadership and salesmanship and recruiting mastermind. He is like a well-balanced human. And this is where I come to him for mentorship is this is just a selfish opportunity for me to just pick your brain, bro, to improve my life. And hopefully you guys can get some nuggets too. But Donnie has 3 kids. He's been married. You just hit 10-year anniversary.
10 years on Tuesday.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So having like that much success in your personal life and then, in your business, and then to also have that is incredible. And happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Thanks. Yeah. Angela will be stoked that you shouted us out. So
let's go. It's well deserved, man.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
She's the anchor behind it all, honestly.
I already know she is, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So props to her. Your kids are 8, 5, and
8, 6, and 5.
Okay.
The 8 and 6-year-old will turn 9 and 7 in a couple months. So
love it, bro.
Yeah, they're getting big.
So you are prepping for half Ironman again?
Yeah, 2 weeks I have a half, and then August 3rd I'm going to do an extreme triathlon, which is it's a full Ironman distance with like 18,000 feet of elevation gain.
Let's go.
So it's a lot of hills. I'm a little nervous for that one.
Yeah, that'll be brutal.
The half will be easy. We've done so many of them, but the big one in August is what I'm a little nervous for.
That's amazing. Let's go. I'll be rooting you on, bro.
Thanks.
I just did a marketing shoot, just looking like a dork sprinting. There's little Ashton Hall videos. So some of you guys will see that on my gram. And I'm sore as heck right now, bro. Like that dad bod is catching up to me. So
sprinting will do it.
It's crazy.
Your 30s will do it.
Yeah. You take both of those together, it'll do it for sure.
Yeah. I'm like, man, if I feel this way at 30, 10 years from now, wow.
Yeah. What's it going to be like?
Yeah. And then you see like the 50-year-olds playing basketball and you're like, it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done.
It's possible. There's hope. So, dude, I want to dive into this with you. I want to unlock your genius behind. I've always admired your work ethic, and this has come from a guy who has massive work ethic, right? And again, it's the work ethic, but it's the balance that you have. And I know you're not perfect. I know, I'm not trying to, put you on a pedestal, but I also am at the same time. Why have you always had that work ethic?
Well,
Where's it come from?
My dad taught me at a young age to work really hard. I mean, I remember, cleaning the floor, mopping the floor or whatever, and taking a toothbrush to the grout, and then like doing it wrong. And then it was like, no, you got to do it again, and it wasn't just like do that part over. It was the whole thing over. And, in all honesty, sometimes you'd kind of like sneak it and be like, I'm not going to do the whole dang thing all over again, but just the attention to detail and like doing a good job, doing it the right way, taking care of things, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. That all came from my dad. Just brutal accountability from him. Yeah. I shouldn't say brutal. It wasn't that bad, but yeah, it would be bad maybe to some people, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, just, my dad would be like, I'd come back from a little league game and I'd go 3 for 4, with 2 singles and a double or something. And he would be like, why didn't you go 4 for 4? And why weren't they all doubles or a home run? It was just, he always wanted more, always wanted more. And so, maybe there's some childhood trauma, in some ways, like, just always have to go get more. But that was just, I guess, instilled in me at a young age. So
I love that. That makes sense.
If there's more to do, you can do more. You can always do more. And then the other thing too is like, I feel like I've always been very curious about what our capacity is for work, not just in like business, but that's why I do Ironmans. A lot of people, like there's a couple of guys that, at Active that make fun of me, like, dude, you got to lift weights, you got to be lifting more, and
Yeah.
and I do lift weights, but they're like, you got to stop with this like Ironman running stuff, this endurance stuff. What is that? And to be honest with you, the reason I like it is because you have a question in the back of your mind, like, can I do more?
Mm.
Can I go further? How far can
Yeah.
I go? And that's just a question that I've always had when it comes to, building, when it came to building Active or building, my career at Active. The question was always, how much more can I do? How much
What's
more can I
possible for
fit in?
you?
Yeah. What else is possible? Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
that's the secret. That's the superpower. When I was doing 200,000 a month here in Utah in solar, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go make a ton of money. It was like, what can I do? What's possible?
Yeah.
Like I got 3 yesterday, made 30K. Okay, what's possible for tomorrow?
And that, I think that's true of all of the big hitters, like the big sellers, the big business people. The money goes away, and it's
Yep.
always about what else can
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
I found that almost every top performer says that or thinks that.
Yep. It's there's like you can pursue the what, right? And like the target, the goal. It's great to have a huge target, but it's the transformation. It's pursuing of like what's possible for you, the who. And when you can this is a breakthrough I've had this last couple months, it was shifting my focus from what I'm trying to achieve and how I achieve it. The methods, formula, the strategies, SOPs, the training, to who do I want to become and why do I do what I do? And for me, the why is the impact and how can I inspire people?
Yeah.
And how can I give? And then the who is it's chasing that best version of yourself. And clearly like you're obsessed with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, you think about going from, we did 130 million in 2023, and then we did 190, we're going to do, 250 this year. And, you do the 130 and you're like, okay, it's next season. What are we going to do next year? You know what I mean? It's like instantaneously almost like, okay, that was cool. But like, now where do we go?
It's just the game.
Oh, that was cool. Now where do we go?
It's just the game, dude. It's like, how can we improve? How can we get better? What's the next level?
And it never ends.
It never ends.
It never ends.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think when I, and it's like, I'm telling you right now, whenever you get there, like if you do it the right way, then you're not going to be satisfied necessarily. You're going to be thinking about, how much further you can go. And it literally never ends.
Yeah.
The progress never ends. I call it the upward spiral, right? And you're just on this upward spiral where it literally will never end as long as you continue to pursue greatness.
Where do you think guys can get the drive that you and I have? Like, how can we infect them with that? For me, I've always said, you got to get proximity. You've got to get around people like us and people better than us. And that's been huge for me of lifting my vision for seeing what's possible. Cause I think I'm crushed. I'm like, cool. Like we'll make well over 1 million, but I get around other guys. I'm like, dude, I'm doing terrible.
Yeah. It's funny how, you're doing well, but then you compare yourself sometimes to the people that you're around, and it always makes you want to level up. So comparison's a good thing.
Can be a bad thing too.
As that's what I was going to say, to a certain extent, being around people that are better than you or further ahead than you will give you like a catalyst to want to improve naturally. But I think the healthiest way to go about growth is I call it finding your core causes.
Okay.
And so, the universe, God, your passion, whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe, when you're in quiet moments, on a long drive home, or when you're, in the shower, or when you are playing sports or on a run or whatever, and you're like kind of like in the present moment, and you can think to yourself, you're flooded with these like positive thoughts, positive emotions, positive things. And if they recur often, I call those core causes. And what I mean by that is it's what the universe wants your life to be about. It's what your inner passion wants your life to be about. It's what God wants your life to be about. Brother. And when you can find those things and then start to like build out goals from what those inner inner, like deep emotional things are,
Yeah.
man, you find alignment with that, then you start taking off and you're really motivated. A lot of people spend time doing things that they actually shouldn't be doing or not wanting to do,
Yep.
because they're not following
They're
what's
not in
in
tune.
there.
They're not in tune.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
And so you have to take a tremendous amount of time to figure those things out. Like, as cliche as it is, and
Yeah.
as boring as it is, people, you go to journal,
Bro,
like,
I was just gonna say, no, this isn't cliche, guys. Please listen. And if you don't listen, cool. Just keep living your life. Like, just
yeah.
enjoy
Journal,
life.
write things down,
Yeah.
write your thoughts down at the end of
Yep.
every week. Take some time just to write down what you learned or what you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Take some quiet time, meditation, like it's cliche. No, take the time
No,
to
it's
do
big boy
it.
shit.
Yeah. Prayer, meditation, quiet time,
Yeah.
like be in nature, because it helps you
Yes.
center yourself on what your life is supposed to be about.
Yep.
And then you can take that like inspiration, you can build out goals, you can build out habits, and then your life should be centered on accomplishing those goals, accomplishing those habits,
Yeah.
and not wasting time doing anything else. And then boom, now you're on a trajectory that fast tracks you to happiness. I always say you're happiest when you're in pursuit of your goals,
Yes.
as long as your goals are based upon what your core causes are.
Yes. And those core causes for me are directly linked to how can I impact other people. And I've learned, this last year, the more I focus on giving and with no expectations, the more that I get. And so that's been a big mantra for me with my people and everything, how I live my life. It's like, okay, dude, I'm just obsessed on how can I give? How can I give? How can I give? But dude, what you're talking about, like, we've blown up in our company, and it's because of a shift I had. I got probably 5 or 10, bro, I probably got 10% better at recruiting this last year, maybe 5% better at selling. Running a business, probably 20% better. Business increased over 1100%. And we have crazy momentum like you guys. We're at different levels, obviously, but it was a shift with my emotional health, which came from journaling and actually sitting with my ugly side of myself. I told you about the breakup before we hopped on, and those ugly, traumatizing events that we have in our life. That was the best thing that could have happened for me. I lost a girl that I wanted to marry. I lost $250,000 that same month. I lost my two of my best friends and guys that we're going to build this with. They're gone. Lost a couple other sales reps, and then my executive assistant, all in the same week, bro.
Wow.
And all I can say now, a year later, is God is good. Like, that wasn't happening to me; it was happening for me. And because it forced me to check myself, like, what are you chasing? Like, why are you doing this? You're chasing the wrong thing. And as I slowed down, I said, F Sparta, bro. I F what I'm doing. Like, screw this, because I've been chasing the wrong thing and putting myself in the hole. Unlike you, I wasn't just, I was pursuing out of seeking significance, right?
Yeah.
And validation from others instead of giving that to myself. And as I sat with my demons and, overcame some of my weaknesses with pornography, like, into the journaling, do those walks outside for me were everything, Donnie.
Yeah. That's
Morning
huge.
and night, bro. And I'm telling you, like, as we've gotten bigger, I rely more on that quiet time to reconnect.
It's so important.
That's when I get the direction of how to steer the ship,
So the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People talks about how principles are like universal, like
Yes.
truths or laws that can't be broken, right?
Yeah.
So when you are receiving like inspiration on those core causes, generally speaking, they're tied to some type of universal law or principle, right? And so you said I was chasing significance versus now I'm trying to chase impact, right? Yeah. Like that's a universal law right there, right? And when it's framed incorrectly, when your success is framed incorrectly, it can lead to a lot of vices,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay? And so you have to take those core causes and you have to like make sure that you're lining them up from a principle centered standpoint. And then what I like to do is I like to say, okay, I've got these core causes, these feelings. Now I want to tie those core causes to some type of affirmation for myself. And I want to affirm my identity. So I identify with those core causes in different realms of my life. So it's like, okay, I feel I want to have impact, right? So if I'm Nick, I want to have impact. I want to have impact and influence. I want to give back. Okay, those are things that I feel need to be part of my life, or that my life should be centered on. Okay, so now it's like, all right, how am I going to do that at work? How am I going to do that in my fitness? How am I
Nice.
going to do that with my relationships with my kids
I like it. So
or with people that I want to build a relationship with,
yeah,
right? What about, spirituality? What about your finances?
all these areas.
What about your intellect or your
Yes.
education, right? And so you have all these different aspects. You tie an affirmation to it, like I am a giver, or
Mm,
I put other people first,
yeah.
for your work, your work realm. You have this set of affirmations that's connected to the core cause, and then you can build out goals that prove, okay, if I accomplish these goals, I am who I say that I am.
Yes.
And then at the back end of it, you build out a why,
Hmm.
right? You build out a big why. I like to go 6 layers deep.
Nice.
Why?
Yes,
And
bro.
then it gets down to like something deep inside. So the core cause is like what the universe or God wants your life to be about, and your why at the end is why you want to be about it.
Yes.
And so you have this alignment, and there's passion behind it. There's a desire to keep going when you fail,
Yeah.
because we all fail. That's part of the journey, is failing and getting back up, right? But now you have energy behind it, right? You have a power bigger than yourself behind it, and makes you unstoppable.
Yeah. It's the superpower.
Yeah,
It's the rocket fuel. That why, like you mentioned a gold nugget there of peeling the layers off the onion. I've always said that, but the key question is asking why. And I've realized that's the secret to like the highest level of influence. I cracked the code accidentally, studying Tony Robbins and how he gets people to change, and then from running and then changing myself and realizing what I needed to do, and then also helping other people and seeing their situation and seeing the same patterns that I saw with myself, I see with other people, and
yeah,
just different vices, different struggles, and it's the same patterns, and the way you can break it is by asking why. And people say, what do I need to do? Like, how do I change? Those are the wrong questions. It's who do you want to become? And then why is that important to you? It starts with who, and then you ask why. And it's a surface level answer, like, all because of,
yeah. Because my family.
yeah, but it's like, why is that?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you keep peeling it back, and then you get to some core thing.
yeah.
And that,
It should reveal something deeply emotional
yeah.
or deeply traumatic that's
Yes.
happened,
Yeah, exactly, bro.
or like some type of history in your life.
Yeah.
Like I was going through this exercise with a sales rep, and we did it publicly, and I was like, will you be vulnerable with me?
Let's go.
And he's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then I ask him. He's like, oh, my son. I'm like, why? And then boom, 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 we go 6 layers deep, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden there's this backstory of like what happened. And
The deeps.
you know he was taken away. He wanted to get him back. He was
Mm,
doing this and this, and like that was a big, like, deep why, right?
yeah.
Not that initial sentence is always a little bit like guarded, protected. You got to get deep in there, some
Yeah.
type of vulnerability.
Yeah, that's a key word right there. If you guys are wondering, like, why are these guys talking about this deep shit? Well, if your why is big enough, you'll figure the way how. Period. The how, everything, what's the goal, the target that you want to achieve, whatever change you want in your life. If this becomes very clear, like on why you're executing, why you do what you do, and it takes time. You have to continue, like these walks I have and the journaling time I have. It's a self check. Like, am I in alignment? And what things do I need to pivot and change? What things am I learning? But what do I want, and why do I really want that? And just checking and just keep repeating those patterns. And I'm a firm believer, and I know you probably are too, Donnie, where when I get little inspiration on those times, those quiet times, journaling and meditating and implementing and learning principles, and I write them down, and I'm showing God, I'm like, hey, I'm paying attention. I get more. I see
Yeah,
more nuggets come, and it's just it's amazing pattern. Like, we all have potential to tap into something bigger than us. And Tony Robbins always says business is a spiritual game. Like, whether you believe in God, the universe, or whatever, but the spiritual meaning, it's bigger than you. And one of the principles, universal principles, is if we can become more valuable, right, we get paid in proportion to the value we bring. So how do you become more valuable? That's part of it. The other part for me is, how can you impact and serve more? Period. Like, stop setting a goal to just make $1 million. Like, if you can shift it, how can you make other people rich? You're going to get rich, right? And for me, I was stupid, bro. Like, I had to lose so much to learn this lesson. Like, I lost so much. I was like, I really don't care about shit. Like, I just want to make people happy because I selfishly want a connection with other men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I need it. And so I just started pouring into people. Like, I just wanted a friend. I was vulnerable. And, but then I used my skill sets to help get them what they wanted. Right. And I poured in more. And, now we have people making a lot of money. And, but that really is the secret, dude. It's one of the principles I've learned. And it's something I've discovered doing this process of asking myself why, of slowing down, of journaling, of having these walks outside, specifically outside.
Yeah.
For like, just to have that connectedness with something bigger than me.
It's funny you say walks outside, because I go on a run. I live down by the lake, Utah Lake, and I'll run out there. And, I'll pause on my run and I'll just like stare out over the lake for, 5-10 minutes. And a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I like to run with no headphones.
Same.
Just in my own head, in my own thoughts, like my quiet time. Right. Three things that I recommend everybody should do in order just to be grounded and be connected. First is quiet time. And that quiet time could be driving to the gym in your truck or your car with no volume on, right? I recommend outside quiet time, like
Agreed.
In nature, quiet time. Number one, quiet time. Number two is affirmations. And those affirmations should be tied to those feelings that you get
core values
on those quiet times that you have, right? Sounds cheesy, again, but the affirmations are there to help you stay connected to that why. Yeah. It's easy to forget. There's so many distractions. I think that the number one thing that I think robs us of success are distractions.
Amen.
Okay?
And we're just bombarded with them today.
We're bombarded with distractions. Our phones are distractions. The TV is a distraction. Our friends are distractions. Everything can potentially be a distraction. So you have to plan when you're going to consume and utilize those things in order to, be the master of them, I guess you can say. And then the third thing that I would say is the journaling. You should be writing down your goals, every single day. You should be writing down 2 things that you notice during the day. And that helps you hyper learn.
Yes.
Two things you notice. It's like, okay, I think I did this thing pretty well today. I probably could have adjusted this. I probably could have adjusted this. Yeah. And you'll notice you'll be like, let's say you're a recruiter and you're doing a lot of recruiting meetings.
Yeah.
As you do that, you'll think, I probably could have asked this question.
Yeah.
And then the next day you ask that question, boom, it's successful. And then you notice, I wonder if I follow up with this statement after that question.
Yeah, you start implementing.
And then all of a sudden you've got these language patterns that are like ironclad, super like
super influence.
Yeah, super influencing. Yeah, exactly. So those are my 3 things. So in review, just for everybody listening, is quiet time, okay, affirmations, and journaling. Every human being should do those things. If you want to go a step further, number 4 would be like workout.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, so this is huge, bro.
Work out, eat healthy, and then everything else will kind of take care of itself.
Dude, so I discovered this again on accident, but because my life was a shit show, earlier last year, in a lot of ways, making money, things were going well. I was putting up a facade in some ways, in a lot of ways. And, after being humbled like that, I was like, okay, cool. I was working from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And I was like, I hit that turning point. I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm going to slow down, work on myself 5 a.m. to 10 a.m., doing exactly that. And then reading specific information on my struggle, my weakness, and then working out, a lot of meditating, a lot of journaling, a lot of therapy, a lot of coaching, all that. And then coming home early, 6:30, 7 latest, to do the same thing. No distractions, no phone, no games, no TV, nothing. And that was the most transformative process. But in so doing, so I worked less in the business, less at work, worked more on myself, business blows up. And I didn't care that it blew up. It's funny about that. I was reading A Man's Search for Meaning with Viktor Frankl.
I just finished that.
Let's go. At the beginning, the prologue, he talks about how he's written many other books, like 10 plus other books. And he wanted so badly for all of those to blow up, but he didn't care for A Man's Search for Meaning to have fame. He just wanted to get the story out.
Yeah.
and he even didn't
Yeah.
want his name on the title.
Yeah.
But think about that. Like when I stopped wanting, it's not that wanting something is bad, but it's the intention behind it and kind of submitting. And, but because he didn't want it to blow up, he says it's just ironic that it did,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes we try to control things that we can't, you know, and it doesn't mean you don't focus on controlling certain things in your life. You absolutely should. But there's some things that we try to force or happen too soon or too fast, you know, when really you just got to submit. And I think when we do a submit to it's really a bigger purpose and that alignment, and that every person has and can discover as they do these things we're talking about.
Well, good things take time. You have to be consistent over multiple years to find the success that you want a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, a degree, a bachelor's degree takes 4 years most of the time. A master's degree takes 2 years. You know, building a business takes, you know, multiple years. For me, from rookie rep to where I am now, it's been 11 years,
Yeah.
right? Things take like long amounts of time, and you have to be willing to be consistent over a long period of time. I mean, look at LeBron James.
Yeah.
Look at the consistency over the course of 22 years. All of my people who follow, you know I'm not a big LeBron fan. I'm a big Kobe guy. So I'm shouting out LeBron James right now. All of you take notice and notice that I give LeBron his flowers. But I mean, look at the consistency though over and it wasn't just the 22 years. I mean, it was going back to when he's probably 10, 11 years old. The consistency over time is what, you know, creates the success. People are bouncing around, changing opportunities, changing things. Just get in line with your core causes.
Yeah.
Pick something, submit to the process,
Yep.
be consistent over a long period of time, and you'll end up having a lot of success.
How can you advise people? There are so many distractions, so many, you know, grass is greener opportunities on social media that people are bombarded with. Gen Z, I see really struggling with this. And millennials and hopping opportunities. They can't see that success is not linear. It's an exponential curve. You're proof of that. I'm proof of that.
Yeah, it's the compound effect, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the penny doubles, you know, over the course of a month. It's not till day 28 or 29 that it's $1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
People are ejecting and they're not seeing the success.
Yes.
So what's your advice for to help them stay?
So my big thing is sometimes you have to declutter your life a little bit, right? Like there are so many ways to make money, so many things to invest in, so many things to do.
Yeah.
Right. And the world is so big and there's so many things that you could do. And there's just not enough time to do all of it, in all honesty.
Yeah, it's not.
And so when you're young, teenager, you should kind of like be playing with a lot of stuff. You know, my son, I try and put him in all sorts of things because I want to see what he's attracted to, what he gravitates to, what he likes. Right. And then at a certain point, you kind of have to say, okay, this is what I think I'm going to do. And you just stick with it. And I sincerely believe that if it's something that you gravitate to, like just grab it, because not all of us are meant to be, you know, great soccer players or great pianists or great salespeople or doctors or, you know, great mountain bikers and great golfers and great, you know, horseback rider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go boating. Like pick a couple things.
Yeah.
Pick a couple things and try and declutter things. Pick a couple things you like investing in.
Yes.
And declutter. Pick one job that you like.
Dude, there's
power. Pull back. Like cut things out. Cut things out so you can focus.
People have a lack of focus. It's probably one of the greatest reasons for lack of success in today's world. Is a lack of focus.
Absolutely.
And you know, I was just asking you before we hopped on. I'm like, you know, how are things? And you're like, bro, same old, just, you know, same boring stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, that's why you're successful.
I hate the what's new question because nothing's new because I've been doing the same thing for 10 years.
But take note, guys. Take note. Like I grinned when you said that. I'm like, yes, my man. Like that is how it should be.
And life's not boring because everything I do is lined up with a core cause that I have.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, tell me more. Everything I do is like, okay, like 2 years ago, we had this goal exercise, you know, at Active, and we had to write our goal or write our goal for the year on a mirror. Right. Uh-huh. And deep down in my heart, like I wanted to put sorry, I've always put work goals, but deep down in my heart, I was like, I don't want to put a work goal. I think I want to put a spiritual goal. So I wrote my spiritual goal on the mirror, and I kind of felt bad, like, oh, I probably shouldn't share this with the rest of the company. This is just for me, you know.
Mm.
And lo and behold, I put that as the priority, that spiritual goal as the priority that year, and then all of the other things took care of themselves.
Look at that.
The reason why is because I was feeling a core cause of like that I needed to connect spiritually.
Yeah.
And at different times and stages in your life, I think education will take priority.
Agreed.
Okay, work will take
Yes.
priority.
Yep.
Family will take priority. Spirituality will take priority.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you neglect the other realms of your
Correct.
life. What it means is that you prioritize certain things, in
Yeah.
different orders.
Yeah.
And at the end of every year, at the end of every quarter, you kind of want to evaluate with those core causes, with what the universe is telling you, with how you're feeling, where you're going to prioritize certain things.
Nice.
And then you don't get distracted from what those priorities are, and you stay focused on them. And when you do that, you'll have alignment in your life, and it'll make it easier to have a wife and kids while also being at work. It'll make it easier to, build a crazy cool business or to sell a lot. It'll make it easier to cancel things so that you can dedicate that volunteer time, for charity or for church or whatever it is that you connect with. Being able to shift things around and prioritize different things at different times makes your life really well rounded, and it gives you a more holistic view of life. So many high performers are just stuck in like the I'm going to sell a lot and that's all I do game, right? Fitness goes by the wayside, relationships go by the wayside.
And I've been there.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's all about carving out time and prioritizing what the core causes are. Now, for a lot of people, and I don't know everybody who listens, but for a lot of people, TV, Netflix, sports, those can be big time distractors or distractions. Video games. And it's like, I don't think the universe is telling you to be the best gamer on the planet. Now, I'm sure there are some people out there. I was just in South Korea, and I was watching this like video thing from this company called Craft, and it was professional gamers like all over the world playing this game. And I'm like, wow, I never even knew that existed.
Yeah.
So maybe for them, they're feeling that core cause to like win the tournament or whatever. But for most people, it becomes a distraction. So your hobbies, you want to be renewable things that renew your spirit.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to be more than that.
Why is it that you think, for me, I have the same thing. I've got, 7 areas of my life that I focus on. Number one, number one is physical health. Number two, emotional health, relationships, my time, my career mission, my financial health, and my contribution to spirituality. Why is it that if you focus on one of those areas, that it affects and impacts the others, you think? Like, let's say, for example, last year I improved my emotional health, business takes off. And I've seen these patterns with other people. Like you think you have to like compromise your health or your relationship to grind for a season. This was a myth I told myself. I've got to pay the price. And in some ways you do have to sacrifice time, but you don't have to burn things down as much as people think. I think there's a lot of big wig entrepreneurs that a lot of people have looked up to over the years that just basically grinded their eyeballs out. But I do know men and women that have had massive success that haven't burned everything down.
Yeah. So everything in your life is interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Every habit translates to a different habit somewhere else, right? So if you learn consistent work habits within your work, you can take those same habits and apply them to, doing Ironmans.
Exactly.
Or whatever they might be, right? Like, so they're all interrelated. And human beings are sophisticated creatures that have different like realms of their life that are important to them. And I'll give you a perfect example. If I were to get in a fight with my wife in the morning, it would mess me up the entire day at work.
Yeah.
Right. Just because I've got that one thing on my mind. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can take care of things that are on your mind, then it makes it easier to be present and focused on the things that you're presently doing.
Agreed.
Now, when it comes to sacrifices, sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and I don't want what I'm saying to come off as like you need to have perfect balance all the time.
Right.
Because there were many years of my life I prioritized
Certain
work
area, yeah.
and I made sacrifices for work, but I communicated those sacrifices to my spouse, to
It's proper
yeah,
expectations.
exactly,
It's huge.
exactly. And where you get in trouble is when you feel that core cause telling you, hey, it's time to change the priority, not
And
changing.
you don't
And
listen.
that's when you lose stuff.
Mm,
That's when things go wrong, because you're the universe will tell you, hey, you need to focus on your kids.
mhm.
If you're in line, if you're getting that quiet time, if you're listening, you'll feel,
Yes.
I need to make sure I develop a relationship with my kids. And
Yes.
then it's like, okay, now I'm going to pull back. I'm going to sacrifice some work stuff to make sure that I go to, this thing, or to make sure I take my kid on a date every Friday at this time, or to make sure that I'm, doing something with them on a Saturday, or I'm saying yes when they ask to play.
Dude, and the business won't take a hit if you're listening to that. I don't believe it will.
It won't.
I
It
think
won't.
you'll thrive more because everything is energy, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you can show up with the best energy, your best version of yourself, you impact, you influence. And to do that, you have to have your cup full. And like that's
Well, people don't want to follow the guy who, or the woman who has sacrificed their entire life just to build the business. Some people
yeah,
do. There's a
some people
subset
do.
of people that will want to follow,
Yeah.
but you want to be someone that you can grab as many people as possible to follow
Yeah.
you. And that means you got to have your marriage and your personal life in check. It means you've got to have your fitness in check.
Yeah.
It means you've got to have your education in check. You've got to have your company in check. Like, more people will follow you if you can lead by example in more realms.
I
You,
love
you
that,
get what
Donnie.
I'm saying?
100%. You appeal to a larger crowd. And it's not just that you appeal, but you can empower and inspire them. Because whenever I looked at someone successful, I'm like, well, what things did you compromise from integrity to relationships, because I've made some of those sacrifices myself. And so, when you do execute and improve on more areas, you become more well versed. And, I feel like there's more people that you can appeal to and influence, whether you're recruiting them or building with them or you're attracting more friends, whatever it is. So,
What's funny
mm,
is the more that you line up and do and get, you're more successful in broader areas of your life, as you become more patient and way less stressed too.
interesting. Yeah.
You can, I don't know, you're gonna lose a top rep,
It's like it's no big
or
deal.
you're one of your C-level executives quits and changes companies or
Yeah.
something. It's
Normally
like,
you'd lose your shit, but
yeah, you just kind of absorb it, and you're just like,
oh,
okay,
yeah,
like I
we're
know
good.
that we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it. It'll be okay. And it's weird how much more patient and like calm you can be
Yeah.
when all that's going on. If you're all tied up in one area of your life,
Oh,
and
so
that one
good.
thing bad happens, it's like, oh,
You blow up,
yeah, you blow up.
and then more blows up with it. There's more wreckage from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So true, Donnie. That's gold, bro. I've seen that in my own life. And if you can find that peace, I love the word peace. If you can find peace and not correlate it to just one thing, but becoming the highest and best version of yourself. And if you can correlate it to impacting and serving, I personally believe you cannot go wrong. And if you feel like you're in tune and aligned with something bigger than you, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, and you're taking action, you're doing your best, and you're improving a little bit every day. And when shit goes awry, you'll have full certainty that it's going to be okay, right? You'll
Absolutely.
know
Yeah.
because of how you're living your life. And people rely on confidence to sell, and conviction is I think trumps confidence, but what trumps both of them is certainty. And certainty comes from how you live your life. And that's what people are attracted to. The world is craving certain people, certain leaders. And you can't fake it. You can only fake it for so long. And so that just comes down to how do you live your life? And the key is when nobody's around. What are you
Yeah.
doing? And that's and this is not saying, hey, you have to be perfect with it, but if you can do what we're talking about and just make little improvements and be self-aware. Donnie dropped the golden nugget where if you just note down two things, every day, like you set the intention for the day, the goals, but then at the end of the day, evaluate, what did I learn? What worked today?
Yeah.
Dude, the amount of progress that we make is so incredible.
You'll never be perfect. No matter how good you get, you'll never be perfect. And like I said, it's an upward spiral. It's a journey. And, you just want to stay on that path for as long as possible and
Yeah.
and keep learning and be successful.
Dude, so good. Guys, we've got to wrap. Donnie and I both got to roll. Bro, you're incredible. Superhuman. Follow this man. He's a good man. His content is raw. He knows what he's talking about. And bro, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me. I'm always stoked to see you and to talk to you. So thanks so much. You're doing
brother.
well, and I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Donnie. I appreciate you. It means a lot, brother. Okay. Thank you, guys. It's a wrap.